Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, PattSun, and today we're going to be taking a look at r/cheating stories, where OP's wife found out the hard way what Chad really wants from her. Let's begin. My wife of 13 years had an affair with her coworker. Posted by Reddit user WonderandOK.
This is going to be a bit of a lengthy one. My wife and I have been married for 13 years and we have 3 kids together. During the first 5 years of our marriage, she got drunk and cheated on me. Now, she didn't tell me any of this until right after we had our second child, which is pretty fucked up. But having a new baby, I decided to forgive and move forward. For the sake of the following events, I'll need to make it known I have some mental health issues and have been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. So, rewind to around June. My wife wants to start working after being a stay-at-home mom for a period of time. My brother said he can help her get a job at the dispensary he was working out. I had some concerns about this because this specific dispensary has an issue with coworkers hooking up a lot, and that just seems to be the culture at dispensaries in Oklahoma. So, she starts working the overnight shift and tells me about this guy named Jake, and I could immediately tell something was off. However, I was in a very bad mental state as I've been struggling daily since my mom died from liver cancer in 2020. In August and November of 2022, I voluntarily checked myself into a mental health facility. Turns out she was having an affair going back to August. Initially, she told me it only happened once in February. But then the dude's girlfriend talked to me and said they actually did it 3 times, which I still doubt is the real number. My wife has told me some terrible details about all this, ranging from her arousal to the guy's dick size. On Valentine's Day, she sent him a message, he ghosted her, and she invited me over for sex. I had no clue about what was really happening. The big part that breaks my heart is the night I got out of the hospital the second time. I surprised her at work and she was mortified to see me, and he was there as well. Well, instead of her coming to see me when she got off work, she went to his apartment and huffed on fucking whipped cream canisters with him and didn't show up until 4 a.m. She has beyond failed as a wife, and I'm concerned with her mothering abilities at this point too. Anyway, back to these events. Around Valentine's Day, this whole thing blew up on her. I found out what they did and the guy decided he wanted to be with his girlfriend and ghosted her and cost her her job. And of course, now that this all has blown up on her, now she wants me back and she loves me and all that shit. No way on earth I should give her a chance, right? I know what I need to do. I need to divorce the fuck out of her. I think I just need some validation that it's the right thing.
OP, she cheated on you twice, right? So why didn't you leave the first time, you dummy?
Why are you still here?
She has a pattern and she absolutely reeks of side chick energy because that's all she ever will be. Just a pussy to be pumped and dumped. You're the only donut that actually took her seriously, and look what happened to you. Learn this lesson, man. Don't take her back and be an idiot again for the 3rd time. Good luck. And now for today's second story. My wife says she prefers a cheater over me ever since I lost my job. Posted by Reddit user ThrowRA Master9.
My wife and I have been together 4 years, married for 2 years. She stays at home while until February I worked full-time as a customer account specialist for a startup making $80K a year, plus a $5 to $8K bonus. Benefits for my job also included free laundry services, gym memberships, Uber rides, and a generous childcare stipend, which was by far the best benefit for where my wife and I thought we would be in a few years. Before we got together, she dated a guy Sam for 7 years. She said she had to do a lot of work and therapy to recover from his toxicity. He was a computer science prodigy who became successful quickly and was a self-described sex addict. He proposed to her 3 times, each with a separate ring, but broke off 2 of the engagements while still continuing to date her. He has posts on public showing him looking very loved up with many other young women. When he was still exclusively dating my wife, and his social media posts have all without fail have dozens of adoring comments from his female friends underneath. My wife finally said she had enough and broke up with him 6 months before we met. He destroyed 2 of the rings and sued her over the 3rd ring, and then started very loudly dating a 22-year-old the next week. She would tell me all about all the ways he compared to other women and made her not feel beautiful. However, after a while it seems the animosity cooled and we moved away. I thought I was finally out of the woods with regards to her ex, but early February I was laid off. My boss said I was a great employee, but the marketing and sales department always gets hit the hardest, and gave me a good recommendation. The moment I got home, my wife started becoming very distant. She said she ate dinner without me because she was upset and told me to fix something up for myself. Not something I think I'm above doing, but she glared at me resentfully while I did so. And while I was eating, she started saying how I should have kissed up to my boss more and did less of the invisible grunt work around the office. She also said that she was resting all of her hopes of becoming a mother before 35 on me and my job. And now what was she going to do? I've tried very hard to apply for jobs and for the job level I was previously. The interview process can often be multi-step. I actually have a few interviews lined up. And for one position, I'm looking at a second interview with somebody very high up the ladder. However, it's hard to keep my spirits up when my wife asks me every day why I haven't found a job. She also refuses to hear it if I try to tell her that I might have to settle for a lower paying job, even a part-time job if they can get me in sooner, because a paycheck was a paycheck. My sales and marketing skills actually got noticed by a 3-star hotel's banquet department. It would be temporary role for when a staff member goes on maternity leave this month. But my wife refuses to hear of me having to possibly be involved with setting up parties or helping to serve food if needed. She also peeked over my shoulder when I looked at part-time jobs at the mall and freaked out, calling them McJobs. My wife has a GED and says all the jobs that would hire her are abusive. I've been trying to get her to lower her spending, but she says okay, and then I find out she somehow got a high-interest credit card she's not paying even the minimum on. We had a fight over that. And afterwards she texted me "I love you and want to work it out" message, but she still spends on it. Her old boyfriend that she stopped talking about has come up in conversation again. She was mad when I couldn't get a reservation to her favorite restaurant in time for the weekend, and said her ex-boyfriend would have made it happen. I had wanted to go out to dinner to try to reconnect and also to try to convince her that me taking the temporary banquets job was the best bet for us. We ended up going to a slightly less expensive restaurant, but she seemed to be happy with the drinks and dessert. On the way home, I tried to bring up the job again, and she was very reluctant to respond to me. On the way inside, she muttered that she'd rather deal with cheating than possibly losing our home. When I told my friends about it, they told me I needed to get myself together and just take the job. And if she really hated having an employed husband, she could do whatever she wanted about it. I keep trying to explain to my wife that a job in a prestigious startup takes time to get. There are a lot of people looking for work there, and managers sometimes drag their feet during the interview process. But I am unsettled by the resentment towards my wife. There is a personal shopper job at Bloomingdale's advertised that she once said seemed fun, yet she refuses to even go on Indeed and look for jobs. I want to get therapy, but that might entail having to sell a few things. And the most expensive things we own are either cars or belong to my wife. I understand she might not mean she would prefer being cheated on, especially when her ex-boyfriend is now married to a woman 14 years younger. But it hurts very badly. What do I do? Both about the job and my marriage. My wife did come up to me a few hours ago to say she didn't mean what she said and patted me on the shoulder, but hasn't acted very remorseful other than that.
Just get a divorce now. Relationships should be judged on how you tackle the tough times together. She's proven herself to be shallow, materialistic, and completely self-absorbed. Tell her lazy ass to get a job and start saving up so she can afford to live alone. In fact, if she likes her ex so much, why don't she go crawling back to him because you're done? I'm 100% sure that her ex didn't actually cheat on her. He just had enough of her bullshit and kicked her out. Now she's lying about him. Face it, OP, you're just an ATM. Divorce her now before a child gets involved. Then you would have to deal with her for the rest of your life. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.